Hello, friends, and welcome to the series of taking up very important themes which we are doing in an interactive manner, and they remain ever relevant because they are going to show you how you can pick up the glaring gaps in between your preparation and also your general awareness. Every time we are picking up a theme or a question or a judgment, we are trying to understand what we can take up from the examination perspective. For example, the first one says that Nicolas Maduro claims implausible victory in Venezuela's election. Now, this is happening in the middle of 2024. Venezuela, which had been in news because of hyperinflation and also because of the grave economic issues. So, the topic says that implausible victory of President Nicolas Maduro, that means hardship and chaos, which had been part of this country since a long time. He is going to be in the office for third time. Mansi, what do you say? Like the kind of economic circumstances and the kind of unpopularity and incompetency which was reflected upon the president, still he went on to win again, and he was supposed to be the inheritor of the Bolivarian revolution. That means Hugo Chavez, a great leader in the eyes of people. He went on to claim that we will get prosperity and people will get power and so on and so forth. But then there is complete mismanagement of the state oil sector, which is the chief export earner, and China is also intervening, and hyperinflation, as I already said. So once it was one of the richest country in Venezuela, but now it is struggling for living on a shoestring budgets. What is your take on this, Mansi?
So I would say that as we are seeing that the results, for example, the policy mismanagement and there is hyperinflation, and the main driver of Venezuela's economy is the oil sector. So it might be possible the means that have been used to win the elections that might come under question, and people's unacceptability might lead to again the future repercussions in the form of again a possibility of military coup, like we're seeing in other
Yeah,
countries. So it will be fueling more instability in the country.
I agree. Hmm. So what we are saying that in spite of some kind of spirited challenge by the opposition, it was not able to do much. Desire of change was reflected by the people, but then finally opinion poll, which was even giving huge lead to the opposition. But still, we can say that in spite of high turnout, as the the article also says, the street level intimidation has marked a kind of a new low in the politics over there, as it is written here. So it is outrageous. It is very difficult to say that in spite of what was seen on the ground, still one we can say that the regime continued, and we have to understand that countries including China, Iran, Russia, Syria, they are with the president, whereas the US, European Union, UN, they will be raising concern, and they'll be saying that elections were not transparent. So we can see that this is the kind of no, the world is divided into different blocks. So Chile's principal to president, left wing president Gabriel Boric, that also claimed that more transparency must be there. Brazil is one of the great powers in Latin America. It must have taken up a more smart stand, but then still it was very slow to react, as we have already reading, and it demanded that result must be shown in a clear manner. But then it all happened like this. So that is why Mr. Maduro, who had promised, but we are saying that uh, it is very difficult, and as you rightly said, there will be a military coup, or finally there will be more instability, and the armed forces, the role that we have already seen. And if army turns against Mr. Maduro, then the dynamics will change automatically, but that is not happening. It is something we have seen in case of Pakistan, we have seen in case of other states, and in the name of democracy, consequences are very severe, not only for the native country, but also for the whole bloc and also for the whole world. So, what lesson we can take up in terms of India having engagement with Venezuela? If you would have been Indian ambassador to Venezuela, then what kind of report would you have sent back to the government before we move to the next topic?
So, as far as India's national interest is concerned, so one of the major benefits of the relationship is again the oil sector or the diversification of the partners from which we are importing the crude oil. So, if there is any possibility under such circumstances, So that can be, I think, the only advantage. And apart from this, we can assess the risk related to the, again, safety of Indian diaspora if it is there. So that can
Okay.
be one area. So
And secondly, would you be, taking care of the fact whatever are the Indian interests in that country? If there is certain kind of private or even the public sector investments are there?
so investments also. Because it is, in a way, it will be impacting the business environment also. And so there are US sanctions also. So US is also
And
making
I would
extra.
I would also like it. I would also like to know from you: is Venezuela member of OPEC?
Yes, sir, it is a member of OPEC.
Yes. You can see how important it is.
Mm.
So those dynamics operate on their own. So India also an oil importing country. If though in the present circumstances Russia and other imports are a great substitute for us, but in the longer run, our all opinions and all ideas must remain open.
Sir.
जहाँ चाह वहाँ राह.
Yeah, the only advantage India can have is importing crude oil from here. Although we are importing from Venezuela, but it is like very, very less percentage.
Yes, it must be very less percentage, but I'm saying dynamics are always change.
Sir.
It is very less because we are getting better from some other places. But suppose everything else get in geopolitical tension, then somehow we want it.
Sir, right,
We
sir.
have, we have to understand even if there is a crisis in the Red Sea, then the exports are operating around the Cape of Good Hope. You have to operate. It is like the exam preparation. If we can do in $1, we will do in $1. If it has to be done in $100, we will do in $100.
Right, sir.
That is the only mindset which can take you towards success, nothing else. Move forward, please. Very good topic, very important topic. The Bay of Bengal should be an economic superpower. So, Mansi, in your eyes, what is an economic superpower is, and what kind of elements would you bring into superpower? And if you can bring some economic theory or some economist's quote, it will be appreciated.
So economic superpower would be that we are recognizing fair and transparent functioning of the market forces, or when we're talking specifically about the trade sector. And we are, secondly, we can say recognizing and respecting the sovereignty when it comes to the exclusive economic zone rights of the countries in the Bay of Bengal region, which India is definitely abiding with. Apart from this, economic security, or when talking about food security or energy security, that can be one of the important pillars. And as India has the vision of that the net security provider in the Indian Ocean region, or when we're talking about the growth of blue economy. So these are really important pillars for us, being an economic superpower in
Right. So the some of the facts which we already know that we have discussed elsewhere also. Most importantly, Bangladesh being the eighth largest populated country in the world, and India being the largest country in terms of population. So Bay of Bengal should be a natural and thriving economic space, but such is not the case. It is a relatively, calmer backwater. And China is also making a dedicated effort towards it. We have the terms like macro regions when we come to economics and when we come to development. For example, we have Europe, North America, East Asia itself, but not Bay of Bengal. So the question arises that if we want to make Bay of Bengal as a thriving and a happening economic space, then it will be directly impacting all the neighboring countries, and it will be making them from middle level. Maybe India may be moving towards a middle level income country, and it will be moving towards a developed status. So the question arises that how it is possible to make so, because race to correct fragmentation. So the key word over here is fragmentation, because we say that India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal though is not part of Bay of Bengal, but even Myanmar and going till Thailand. So there is an issue of connectivity. Kaladan project is going on, and the construction of Bangladesh first deep water port at Matarbari. It is very important, and Colombo port is also linked with it. So Matarbari project, which is the largest in Bangladesh, is backed by Japan, JICA. So if it is backed by JICA, then JICA is also undertaking a lot of important projects in India. So that is why it is very important for us. But then on the other hand, Colombo port is developed by China. Then another by India's Adani Group along with American Development Financing. So you can say there are nitty-gritties, there are different kind of elements involved. So Government of India is also making a difference by bringing more input for BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal initiative for multilateral, I shouldn't say multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation. We must remember this completely. So 5 Bay countries plus Bhutan and Nepal. But the question arises in terms of logistics. It must have more staff. It must have more interest. It must be more into the news. It must remain a kind of a thriving and a happening body. It must be linked with Republic Day. It must be linked with other kind of wherever possible. There must be a kind of an interaction. So it is the only positive development. For example, Asian Development Bank or even World Bank or even IMF, they are going to put more initiatives and inputs. Political integration of ideas. If all the countries of BIMSTEC, they have the same political understanding, so integration of these ideas may help also as a group to thrive. But right now, that's not happening. We can say what is happening in Myanmar, but which is a natural link between South Asia and Thailand and rest of Southeast Asia. So countries at the war with itself, we will be taking it separately. So the challenge is, not only geopolitics, but it is the rivalry which is also reflected in Indo-Pacific. So three things which India must do. What do you say?
So, firstly, an important prerequisite would be political stability in the member countries of BIMSTEC. For example, Myanmar, or when talk about Bangladesh. So, there, what role India can play in restoring the democratic forces in that country? That should be one premise. Secondly, when it comes
India
to
can play a role. India cannot intervene. India is already playing role by dedicated projects. India is playing role by, bringing what I should say, wherever feasible. India is providing developmental aid. India is providing humanitarian aid. More than that, India cannot directly intervene into their internal affairs. This brings to me to another question. Do you think that the crisis of Bengal, Bangladesh, I mean, crisis of Bangladesh, in terms of garment manufacturing can be advantageous to India because
yes,
Bangladesh is having much growth. Bangladesh is having much growth. Bangladesh is having much labor. I should say labor advantage. So you tell me, in the given circumstances, do you think India can take advantage in terms of textiles? If yes, how?
so India can
Advan-
definitely take an advantage. This is again a natural opportunity for India to take the leverage of the situation, because there would be international demand which earlier Bangladesh was catering to, and India can cater to that gap through, like, we are already having policies. For example, we have PM Mitra scheme, which is the textile park scheme. And this sector being a labor intensive sector, so India is already labor surplus country, and we are having
You want to say, if I am correctly understanding that if India's capacity building and if India's infrastructure
right.
cost comes down, then India can take action. Otherwise, just like that, immediately India cannot take any advantage because India must have the enough capacity to leverage it.
Manufacture, Hanji sir.
Cannot read 50,000 rupees book in one day. You must have the capacity. One must have the capacity to do it. Then only it is of benefit. So you are right. India can take advantage, provided be a Mitra scheme, textile parks. They cannot also operate overnight. So
Right.
India's capacity building augmentation, India's capacity building is very important. India must have the capacity to absorb. Same thing goes with manufacturing. That is why we talk about we are exporting raw material, raw iron to China, and we are importing finished product because we can't do on our own. So that is the nagging point.
Capacity.
And that is only possible with a thriving political culture and a good bureaucratic intervention in a positive manner with a good policy.
So it's done.
We can share the next slide, please. Tinned fish. Tinned fish is swimming against the tide. So let me bring here the idea of states like Gujarat. Gujarat is having one of the largest shares in terms of fishes, in terms of fish capturing and even exports, along with the other states like you can say Kerala is there, and then Karnataka will also play some important role. On the other side of eastern coast, we have Andhra Pradesh. we have Odisha, and in Northeast also, we are not saying whoever has got access to Bay of Bengal, they can be of some sort of importance. So this is talking about tin fish. So any frozen food, frozen I should say, or canned food I should say, not frozen at least.
हाँ जी
So
sir.
the canning process, as they are saying, the canning process was invented during Napoleonic Wars. That means at a time when India was thinking and moving ahead with great social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, or even when Bahadur Shah Zafar is there, at that time canning process was invented in Napoleonic Wars. So it is the situation, necessity. Industrial revolution is at the peak. So fresh food in short supply. So preserved foods became a kind of a great source. So now tin fish is back. Gen Zs, like that's what we talk about. The product itself is for starters. Canned fish has been part of Iberian food scene since the 19th century. Shops in Lisbon are dedicated. That means we are talking about Portugal. So frozen, as I already said, fish wife and all those kind of things are there. So this is a kind of a very innovative and a light-hearted approach to economic issue. We can also think about such issues which we must which we must brand and which we must bring to revival. India has been doing again a very sustainable job. Can you tell me in terms of food products or in terms of food or food ecosystem, what India has been promoting?
So again, there we are promoting firstly the food processing industries, development of them, and then strengthening the forward and the backward linkages of the food processing industries, linking it with the agriculture sector in terms of availability of raw materials. And
And
apart from this, we are working upon building the warehousing facilities also. And for the fisheries sector, we can talk about again the formalization of the fisheries sector so that again their livelihood or the wages that they're earning or even the quality.
I believe not just that only. If you take a little broader view, then we had been the part and parcel of millets also.
Hanji sir.
We are the world leader in revolutionizing millets to be part of the food, part of the means at food table.
Hmm. Hanji sir. India is the leader, and
So
again we are taking the lead when we're talking about the UN International Year has also
move
been
forward with
declared.
it. Yes. So you are right over here, but then still we have to move forward with more innovation. Can we have the next theme, please? Keep the code behind AI open. So the first question arises, can AI be bringing such a transformation in the common people's lives in healthcare and education that it is very much integral to everyone's life? Will it be possible in next 10 years? Mansi.
Yes, sir, we can say that structural changes are already happening when it comes to the healthcare sector. We can talk about
Like
the
every Indian having a virtual teacher and a virtual healthcare worker with him, or doctor, virtual doctor for basic things.
hmm,
Already we know there is a huge proliferation in terms of you can see your heartbeat, you can see your skin tone and blood pressure and so forth through automatic gadgets and all these. This is also a kind of AI only.
right, sir. Hmm.
So I do you believe that the code behind AI must remain open in an absolute manner?
So not in absolute manner, only until the limit it is reasonably possible, and it is again catering to the larger public interest because keeping it open would be helping us in terms of identifying the bugs or the irregularities or the errors that we are witnessing in the in the functioning of the
Than
software.
that, more than that, opening any open source things are always for public good, like
Right.
Wikipedia we say.
Public interest.
But then, but then, as I was already thinking and written also here also, security threat, strategic threat, countries like China identifying and exploiting the vulnerabilities. What about the intention? open source can innovate, and it will be one of the most amazing ways to develop softwares. But then how to move forward is very important with respect to national security, and definitely in SA and in ethics also, and otherwise also, regulation hurts innovation. But the question is that in the name of innovation, can we completely go open? How to create a lower level playing field? But then open source makes system more secure and safer because everybody will be contributing. You will be getting help from unexpected quarters. People will be analyzing code. They will be stress testing. That is very correct. I agree with the same. So a good example is the national security is the security enhanced Linux, C Linux. You can always quote this. It's a very important thing. Very important, very, very wonderful example. So the learn from others approach, this is also a key word. Learn from others approach is vastly more robust than based on close-ended system. We are also operating on this system. We are also putting up like a open code. Our work system is also like a code. So we are also putting up, and you can see the benefits. You can see the revolutionary changes which is coming. It depends on us finally with what intention and with what peace of mind we perform. So the Western national security circles, they are preventing other states from gaining access to the state-of-art AI technology, but restricting open source will not accomplish this goal. China definitely is a bugbear, or it's a black spot. That is what the international community believes, because China is already having a cutting edge of AI, and it is already having more AI researchers than America. It is producing competitive models, and what we can say, China has 3 of the world's top 7 open source models. So some Chinese companies are also finding ways to get around export controls on GPUs, that is graphic processor units, very important, specialized circuits. So that is why American companies are not easily persuaded to overlook billions in revenue. And obviously, we have been talking about Intel chips, which resulted in China developing the world's fastest supercomputer. It went on to use an internally developed computing architecture. So we are talking about America and China over here, and we have to see where India is there. If India has to become a Vishwaguru or developed country, then there is no way we can do it without command and without having a world-class artificial intelligence infrastructure. So the question is talking about open source, which is driving innovation. India, I believe, stands with it. India believes in that. And AI models must be for everyone. Today's AI is rooted in open source and open research. Indians are also going to play an important role in it. For example, OpenAI, Mistral, Anthropic, these names we must remember, because we hardly use any name other than OpenAI. Mistral and Anthropic, if the candidate is going to write, probably examination may give them 0.25 marks more. So for India, move forward, invest and commit, bring talent, give platform, and become more robust, become more powerful. That is the only way for India.
Ji, sir.
Machines might not take your job. So Mansi, having an economics optional, do you agree with the fact that which economic theories actually argue against and for this kind of thinking, that machines might take away your job?
So might take away the jobs. So
Meaning
economics.
thereby, when we talk about profit, when we talk about revenue, when we talk about cost, then definitely the
The
role of human
classical,
resource.
we can say the classical school of thought, they believe that again, more mechanization, or like we should remain labor intensive. So that is one school of thought that we can talk about.
Okay. So
And
when we move forward over here, the topic says that machines will not be taking away our job, but then they may take the meaning into it, the meaningful work. Already we discussed the job and the life balance. Help desk heroes and support superstars. That's what the word we use even today also, without multitude of jobs the people are doing in the background, no work can be completed. They are also giving an example of a routine software update by CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity company in the US and which is linked with Microsoft, but it went on to cause a complete outage in offices, hospitals, and airports worldwide. So the white collar workers, they were just stuck. People in IT came to the rescue of helpless colleagues and stranded passengers. So there was a lot of stress. But if machine can add purpose to our job, that is what is written. So if they fail, do you think that people will have more relevance, or if they fail, what about when they work properly? So this is not an ideal question, that is what is being asked here. The question arises, if we are going to completely depend on machines or artificial intelligence, then there will be wholesale job losses. Or what will happen? Even if the jobs will not be lost, the nature of consciousness is changing. Because very important word is written here, job satisfaction. Many employees put a higher premium on non-monetary than monetary rewards. This is for India also. When you get a opportunity, if you have a reasonable standard of living, then we read every time. In villages also we read. People are satisfied. If they are having one job, they are putting their money into animal husbandry, they are putting their money into creating small jungles on their farmland, they are happy. They are not just looking forward to, putting crops and earning money. Everybody is not interested in creating concrete buildings and earning revenue or rents for that matter. So that is why workers are important to work, but then please think in context of the Indian scenario, that if the robots are going to reduce the perceived meaningfulness of the job across the board, like age, gender, skills type of work, then do you think what is going to happen in India?
So in this case, it would be replacing the low skill jobs, but it would be creating the high skill jobs. So again, the question comes to the importance of skilling in India and the scale of skilling.
Mhm.
So there we are
I
seeing.
agree with you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I was saying that their ITI centers, they can help us in terms of skilling because they are again a link for the workforce to get skilled after education.
Yeah, that's on the top we can say, but the point arises, for example, today's thing is that you want to have, like Karuna is sharing with us, that the creative destruction is a concept introduced by economist Joseph Schumpeter, and that is referring to,
In this
a kind of, yeah,
creative
please.
destruction, like the old and the which are like the depreciated sectors, they are replaced with the new technology, which is the critical and which is more productive, which is more modern technology. So that is creative destruction or positive destruction. So
But yeah, but in case of India, I think it's a long way to take, because still people are so much having, so much to liberate themselves. When we talk about even villages, when we talk about Hathras tragedy, when we talk about their menial jobs, when we talk about the kind of tough life they are living. In 45-degree also you have couriers. We in 40 people are women are, or the old or children are working into fields. There are early child marriages. When all these things are already there, then I believe that AI and the machines, they are going to provide certain kind of incentives to us. That is why human resource is very important. Human resources are our very big strength. So I agree, up to a certain, up beyond a certain level, machines may take away the innovative and the creative part. But then it is India. I think so much goes on in India beyond textbooks or beyond job.
yeah.
Jugaad. Mars, we have sent to the Mars our satellite through जुगाड़. तो आई थिंक ये completely हम पे फिट नहीं होता है. हम कॉपी के पीछे भी कॉपी यूज करते हैं, हम वो जुगाड़ू हैं, हम चीज फेंकते नहीं है. तो दैट इज इनग्रेन्ड, that is ingrained in us. But then the machines will not have a dulling effect. For example, printer आ गया, 3D printer आ गया, we are doing with the technology, so we are innovating it. Even in fact we are innovating it. The way we have created even our own work structure, it is highly advanced. It is based on machine, but it is not machine made. It is very complex man management. So, example here is of pharmacies. Obviously, the drug quality control can be there. Traffic management can be there. Water and disaster management can be there. Then you have very tough jobs which demand very huge labor, but they are less paying. They can be also substituted. You have high-end boring tasks. Yeah, boring tasks are fine, but then a bureaucracy's task is very boring also. But then machine is coming into bureaucracy also. So that brings me to the last point that in bureaucracy, what kind of robotic or machine learning do you believe is coming, and it will be very important? And do you think India is already doing it? If it is doing it, and then tell me the sectors where it is happening.
So in terms of bureaucracy, I can say that in terms of, so for example, planning for the disasters, there we can say that the technology, or in case of the prediction, or in data analytics, there AI can help us. So that can be one of the basis of, again, policy formulation, or when it comes to generating awareness, there it can help. And in terms of, sir, learning different languages also, there is also like the AI translators, or that is very handy. So these are certain areas. Apart from this, when we talk about the example of, for example, the women health. So in that case also, we were a few days ago talking about how AI application can help in terms of generating the awareness, or which diet
I
would be
agree.
appropriate.
I agree. But then, if we say directly, then you can say Saral, like income tax, we are doing it faceless.
Hanji.
Okay.
Hmm.
In the income tax, we are bringing technology. Then in auctions, we are bringing it.
Hmm.
In auctions and so many other things, so we are bringing it. So there are ideas with that. So I believe we have to think in from that perspective, because without technological upgradation, we cannot bring more honesty, more transparency. It is important. It is happening. India is changing. India is not witnessing a kind of a decay or a kind of a slowdown. So with these ideas, we will bring back our thinking to the next level in the next interaction. Keep on moving, take away the good points, learn fast, learn smart, never discourage yourself, because success is always near around you. Aadhaar authentication in railway sector, like the Corona is giving an example. We will move, and surely with rational optimism, let's spread and let's bring success. Thank you very much.